So I guess the internet is full of videos about burn barrels and stuff you can do with old oil cans. But I want to show you one thing that has never been seen before on the internet. And that is how to build the best burn barrel with two of those babies. So one safety tip first, never, ever attempt this with some kind of barrels that ever contain gasoline or any other highly inflammable liquid. Extremely dangerous. So, but here I have two oil cans, as you can see from a local shop maintaining tractors. Thank you. And the first thing I want to do is remove the residues of oil that's inside, because when we start burning it, it will make even more pollution than it has to be. So, and to do that, I will use a massive drill bit here, and that's why, because I want to drill it in the end with a saber saw, and the width of the blade here needs to then penetrate the hole I'm drilling. So let's start with that.
I will speed up a lot of parts of this video to make it quicker. Essentially what you're trying to do here is to drill as close to the rim as possible, but not damaging it, because those rims are very important for the stability of the barrels. And in the end, you can also use this hole now to safely drain all the excess oil that is still in the barrels. As you can see here, I have quite a quantity left of some red hydraulic oil, and since we have two kegs, two barrels, you can see you can use the other one to hold. The next part here we are doing is cutting the first sides, the first face off with the saber saw here. Here, try to stay really as close as possible to the edges. And that worked really well, as you can see. Now we can also have a look inside, and yeah, you will never get everything out, but it looks quite nice. We can work with this. Now the first design phase. So I looked for a piece of wood that is roughly 10 centimeters wide, and I'm doing rectangular drawings or cutouts shapes. You will see in a second how this works. So this is our main air intake at the bottom of the burn barrel. And as you can see, I'm cutting a U inside, and that enables me to essentially flip it to the inside and up. And you will see in a bit that this creates not only a nice air intake, but also support for our grid, where we then support the burning, the wood and stuff that we want to burn. And as you can imagine, you need a good angle grinder here and a lot of discs, because the metal of those barrels is quite strong. And now you can see essentially the first step finished and the nice support that we created in addition to the air intake holes. This is a really neat design. The next step I'm doing here is creating more cuts in the barrel that allow us to get more air to the fire. And I will just put single cuts in regular distance, and for this I used again some scrap wood I have lying around that is in this case maybe 15 to 20 centimeters wide, and I'm cutting out now the air holes, and you will see in a moment that I put more holes at the top part of the barrel than in the bottom part to draw a little bit the fire up. At least that's my theory. But you can see already this looks almost like a really nice burn barrel by itself. But of course we are missing the bottom grid, which we are starting to construct now. And as you can see, I started doing it right by drilling holes into it. But then in this take I stopped doing that because I was too lazy and started cutting single strips in it. This does work, but it doesn't allow the excess ash to fall easily through the grid. So please keep that in mind. Make enough holes into the grid that ash can fall through. Next, we are taking our second barrel, which will be our top barrel, and we are cutting the bottom off. And you can see I'm just hammering that a little bit in to make the edges not so sharp. Again, I'm marking my air intakes, but first I will construct a chimney. I grinded a star-shaped pattern, which then allowed me to essentially pull out the metal and then with a lot of hammering, recutting, fitting it to the chimney that I had lying around. So this is more or less, of course, custom for everybody. This took quite a long time, I have to say. As you can see, a lot of adjusting, but it was good. Next, I'm cutting the air intake in the upper part, and here I'm using only the bottom two parts to do this. And now I'm also creating a door. This is essentially one piece of about 40 by 50 centimeters. And you see now that it falls out, and we can create a nice door now to refill our burn barrel while it's burning. And let's check out how this actually works. And to fix the door to our structure, I will use very simple door hinges, drill a hole, and I will fix them using these rivets. And this technique actually worked super well. The rivets are strong and it looks very clean. And now I fix the door. I'm holding it here with a strong magnet to the barrel, and then I can easily drill the holes and fix the door with a rivet. And as you can see, this works super well. And now, of course, I need something to close the door and open the door. So I found some scrap metal lying around, and I will essentially just fit like a hook structure to the barrel and a handle-like thing to the door. And again, I'm using the same technique here, using the drill and the rivets to fix everything. The lever is still missing. This I will fix now, and then we will see the result.
And with that, we have a really nice door that we can open and close. So you might be thinking now, great, that's it. We have a door, we have a top, we have a bottom. But of course, we need to fix them together safely. Let me, however, show you already how this is supposed to look like. So we have our top, this, and our bottom. What we are trying to do, of course, is to fix them on top of each other. And this is also why we kept those rings here, because this is the reinforcement that I really need. But as you can see, it's wobbly, right? So we need to find a way to fix them well together, and then I can safely use it. But look already how cool that is, right? I know, seriously. Have you ever seen something cool like that? The Firemaster. So I think to do this properly, we need something to open and close here. Yeah, something like a lock, which I can move to hold to push the top barrel in this direction. And something else on this side to lock it in place. So these T-like metal connectors are not bad. The only thing we need to do is to bend this over so that it shows in, and then I can cut a little hole here so that this slides in, and this is securely fastened to the bottom barrel. And for this, I think potentially you could use bolts again or screws. to fix this to the barrel. But here I want to try to weld it on, so we might have a better connection. This is a very dirty job here, of course. This is coated, this is painted, but let's see how we end up.
And to prepare the welding area, I of course sanded everything down to have metal on metal that I can weld together. The can, as well as the angle I'm using, is very thin, so you need to watch out with your current flow there. I managed to regulate it in the end quite well to get a nice and stable weld. Of course, an adjustment here and there was necessary, but I was really happy with the result in the end. One thing that you can see me doing here is to grind off the excess. That is important so that the barrels can slide on top of each other very easily. And here you see me attaching the second one, which worked much better since I dialed in my device. So let's continue now with building the latch that holds the two barrels together. And as you can see, I'm bending the metal, the straight metal here a little bit around to create in the end something that allows me to open and close the barrels with a little bit of spring action. This is exactly what we want. To attach this new latch, we need to position it so it can still grab the bottom ring of the upper barrel. And you see here that I'm using a long screw so that I can adjust the tightness of this latch later on, to also then adjust the amount of spring action that it has to hold those two barrels together. And this, you can see, already works quite well. To finish this design, there's one step missing, of course. So I now align the two barrels and find the position where I have to cut the holes in the upper barrels for those hooks to grab in. With that done, we can now try to assemble the barrel. And as you can see, this works really well. Now I can also adjust the tightness of the latch. And now you see it's really tight. To make everything stable and safe, I positioned some heavy stones in the middle of the bottom burn barrel that not only supports the grid from bending through because of the heat, but also makes the device much heavier and less prone to topple over. So that's very important as well. So, and that's it. I mean, we have finished with our build now. You can see this beautiful device. So let's try it.
So now's the time that we light the Firemaster 2000 version 2. And as you can see, it's a beautiful device. And we loaded it up now with a lot of paper and stuff that's easily burnable and will create a lot of heat for this initial cleansing burn, I would say, to get rid of all the residue of oil and paint. The device will completely change its color, as you will see in a bit. Let's see if we get it started. The paper is of course very damp, but let's see if we can catch some flames. So you see the Firemaster is burning now, and immediately you can see that the fire really eats its way down because of the draft of air that is coming through the whole device. Yeah, the big holes at the bottom are really creating this draft that will burn everything super clean with the secondary burning chamber here.
After a couple of minutes, your Firemaster 2000 will look like this. The paint and the rest of the oil is now starting to burn off. This is the last time your Firemaster will burn with black smoke.
So the Firemaster 2000 version 2 is now burnt in, I would say, stopped smoking, stopped fuming, and actually very difficult to tell now on the video, of course, but it's filled to up here. And I put in now wood, so old scrap wood that you have lying around. and you really can see how the flames are rolling all the way up into this top chamber here, where then it's like heated by the heat upstairs, downstairs, and goes through the chimney. It's difficult to see on the video, but there's absolutely no smoke. This is the best way to burn everything you have and to heat yourself, because right now I'm standing here about a meter away. It's getting pretty warm. If that thing is filled up pretty well, it will heat a radius of easily 4 meters. So this is really great. And let's have a look inside. I use the wooden stick. Everything gets very hot. You can see how those flames are rolling up. This is exactly what we want. We have the secondary smokeless combustion.
Now let's have another look at some pictures in the end. So this is how the device looks like after almost a year. It's outside, you see it's rusty but fully intact. Here you see a close-up of the hooks. And there the latch. Everything is still functional. And also I have a close-up of the hinges. They work really well. I'm really surprised that they held up the heat so well, and also the closing mechanism for the door. So I hope this burn barrel design is interesting for you, and hope to see you soon here on Feast Tool Time.